Cristina. He's going to explain his experience as a lawyer in Colt. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. I am moving it. Okay. So first of all, we have the big opportunity to have Sylvia and Sarah, who has already explained to us what their companies are doing, and I will go over that, okay? What is the future? What is the future, or the real one? We are completely in a new way. Using big data, using Internet of the Things, we are transforming our world, okay? We are using disruptive technologies. Why? And we will see which are them, okay? Disruptive technologies are advances that will transform our life, our business, and the global economy, and they will impact deeply in our life. There is a report, and we can see it here for McKinsey Global Company, and they have found that there is 12 disruptive technologies, okay, which is mobile internet, automation of knowledge work. There is intelligence over systems that can perform knowledge. So we lawyers, we must be very careful, because lawyers and doctors will disappear using this kind of automation of knowledge work, okay? We have Internet of the Things. We already know what it is. You know, it's like physical tools, you know, that are connected with devices, sensor, software, and they can take data, track such data, access such data, and interconnect that data. We are talking about wearables, we are talking about our fridge, we are talking about cities, okay, smart cities. We are also talking about vehicles. So the world is changing completely, and we must be ready for that, because they will need, even if they hate a little us, you know, lawyers to tell them this is good or this is bad. They will need ethic principles to be applied in different legislation, and that's something that we are also going to discuss afterwards, okay? You know that cloud has come to stay, and we will see it more, okay? There is also advanced robot. If we go to Japan, and you go there, you can see that you have robots everywhere, okay? Robots now, they are used to help children, to teach them, to make you movement or muscles or rehabilitation, okay? So it's great. We have new autonomous vehicles, and we will see what happened with that, okay? That they deploy a lot of issues about responsibilities, about plenty of concerns, privacy, penal law, civil law, ethic codes, okay? So we have genomics, a next generation. What's going to happen with the human genomic? Are we going to be able to deploy or to make new organs? Where is the limit? When we can say that the baby is a human being or not, okay? So there are plenty of possibilities open now. We have 3D printing, and we have persons or lawyers there that represent this kind of 3D printing entities, energy storage, advanced materials. We have the graphene, the glass. If you go and see a day of glass, you say, unbelievable. But believe me, we are already there. We are already there, okay? And advanced oil and gas exploration and recovery, and of course, renewable energy. So everything is changing. And you can look at me and said, she's completely full. No, believe me, I'm not, okay? You have to think about what happened with, I don't know, with pictures. You know, what happened with companies who make pictures on the past, or what is happening with papers. Everything is changing. And the issue is to be ready for that, okay? Completely ready. So here we have films, which is incredible because we have already films about that. If we see Gattaca, this is the biggest study of biometric. What is going to happen, you know, with our biometric data? So it's important to see that film is already advancing. We have Minority Report, commercial, okay? We have also Tom Cruise, ladies, you must be happy, okay? So also we have artificial intelligence, which is the limit, okay, between a human being and, you know, a robot, okay? And also we have how can we use the robots? Can we use them to protect the world? Which are the limits? So plenty of things just coming to us, okay? Sensors for Internet of the Things, connectivity, people and processes, okay? And then regulation. There is new documents. In fact, you have all been provided with a lot of documents about privacy by design, by default, via the new regulation and everything. But it's important that you know that there are two different ways of regulating big data and Internet of Things. And now one is in the United States and another one completely different is in Europe, okay? So the Federal Trade Commission has issued recently two great reports in 2014 and 2015 urging companies to adopt best practice to address consumer privacy and security risk. Okay, and very recently, in May, the 5th of May 2016, Obama has, well, not Obama, his organization, okay, has issued a report on algorithmic systems, opportunity, and civil rights. And they are focusing us about how we should use, big data, because they confront us with two possibilities. Big data can make people smarter, more intelligent. They can, we can be healthy because we are sharing a lot of information about health data. A lot of diseases can disappear, but on the other hand, as we already know, the information that says that we have cancer in a moment and we can be, and that everything can be solved if we put the good measure is the same information that the company could use and then, yes, dismiss us or, says, listen, I'm not going to renew your security insurance policy. So again, how we have to use policy, how we have to use big data and this kind of information. And I think it's good. Especially, these two reports, they focused you in a completely different way of going through, big data and Internet of the Things. And then, of course, we have our EU regulation. And with a new general data protection regulation that was enforced or was implemented and approved in April 14th and will be enforced in May 27th, 2018. That includes data like biometric data, genetic data, and talks about profiling, and the right that we all have to object to be profiled. They expand the data of health data, and they give us new opportunity to investigate. But on the other hand, we have to be aware that we have to continue treating the data according to the principles that were already agreed by the Working Party 29 in several statements that they have issued, between them Internet of the Things and the statement between 2221, okay, about processing big data. And they said, listen, we don't need a special document or a special regulation for big data. But when you process data, you have to take into consideration that you need the consent of every person, that they should be informed, okay? And if we have to take into consideration about the right to be informed in the GDPR, will be a great issue to discuss, and it will be different according to different legislations, okay? And what's more, security. Have we thought about security? Because such huge data going from a place to the other, they pose us questions, what are they doing with my data? We have to understand that there are people that they are not going to use such data for good purposes. There is a Russian guy, Vladimir whatsoever he will be called, and his hair is 3 million euros worth, okay? So it can be rich also, with cybercrime and cybersecurity. As we know, SWIFT has already taken the data, and there is now new ways of cybercrimes, okay? If you don't pay, and you go to the hospital, and you want to go out in safe way, okay, they will send you a message. Listen, guy, if you want to go in to go out with the same body that when you went in, pay me money, okay? So this experience is going to be very difficult to assess, okay? How we protect our data, how we, all consumers, all users, okay? We must be very aware of our rights and how our data is protected. So we have already seen how, Sarah has explained to us anonymization, pseudonymization, and all the code of ethics and well practices that company should take. So this is the message. This is the message that both, from USA and in the European countries, they said, we have to work together. I mean, the industry, okay, the government, and also the users, we have to go and work together. Because it's not only doing big data, as we know, everything is going so quickly, so quickly, that we need to put in place no rigid codes, okay, but principles to be applied. And I think that I am done, okay? So thank you very much for your time and for your support, and for the IE to invite us to be here with you, okay? My pleasure.
Thank you, Cristina. Questions? There. Just 1 second, please.
Cecilia.
Thank you very much. I would like to congratulate first the three of you for the very good presentations. The question I have for the three of you is whether you think that lawyers may have a role in the businesses when deciding which kind of anonymization technique is the best one to apply in order to fulfill the relevant requirements. And second, the role also of the lawyers with respect to how we may introduce ethical standards or considerations in the business decision process. Thank you.
For the first one, the one regarding anonymization and whether we do have a role with our technique colleagues, we generally trust them when they tell them that something is not reversible, and they can show us, and we do have a role there, adding internal measures like those codes of conduct and those separations, and we do also have a role with our new general regulation. We're going to be there from the design itself, and in case we find out that we're dealing with a great amount of data and that if not the appropriate measures were put in place, there would be a risk. From this risk-based approach, I think we should also address our agency. So we're going to help our companies have that also that okay from the agency in case we have a doubt, because probably at the beginning, if you have your last word, if we don't have a lot of information yet about what is really trustable or not, maybe we need to address our agencies, and we'll kind of do as a bridge there, but we'll have to take our technique colleagues also to the agency to explain them, because it's a very technical world.
And considering, well, I want to continue with the answer from Sarah and also answer to the first question. I think that we need to do some training within our companies, because our technicians, they are incredibly clever, but sometimes they miss the concepts. For example, anonymization with a dissociation, which is completely different, but they think that sometimes it's the same. So we need to do more questions, even more questions. And going to the first question you made, Cecilia, is I think that we need to We need to draft instructions and draft processes within our organizations, but what we really need to do is to explain the reason behind. And because we are, at the end of the day, we are talking about human rights, so, and how to do businesses. So we need to take time to explain our colleagues within the companies.
On the other hand, taking your two questions, I think that it's important that we, as lawyers, we have knowledge about technique, about securities. We all need, if we are going to take or to give some kind of report, advice, or information to technicians, what they are talking about. We need to be in a way or have some expertise about security measures, security systems, and to know what they are, okay? I think that code of ethics will be the clue for next generations. I mean, they are very much reinforced in the new GDPR, and on the other hand, is the only way that, you know, all the companies that are in the same area or in the same, or yes, in the same area, they won't have unfair competition practices, okay? Which I think is important, because we only be successful if consumers feel that they can trust on us. I don't know if you have seen recently, there has been a message from United States, and that's not very good for companies, neither for United States either, in which it says that now, you know, our consumers in United States, they don't trust any longer in companies. They don't trust any longer about including their information, you know, in the net, okay? They began to be astonished about what was happening, okay? So it will be the only way to avoid this kind of discrimination also, doing good practices and establish them. And I completely agree with Sylvia. You must be all the time, you know, giving training, because they are completely clueless. I mean, but clueless, okay? So you say personal data. What's personal data? And in some countries, we must think that, you know, there are two ways of understanding what is personal data, no matter what the government says and the act also. But in continental countries, in Europe, you know, we have very clear and we have much more tradition what is personal data. But in another country, like for example UK, there is not such a big sensitivity about what personal data is. Yeah. So they will probably, you know, be forced to adapt themselves to the new GDPR. That's why they are thinking about going out of the Brexit.
I think that one of our main challenges as data protection lawyers is to find a common place with our technical colleagues where we can speak the same language. Because some of the times you can come to a meeting and you say, well, is this an Article 29 proven algorithm? And they're like, what's she saying? And they well, yeah, we have a salted hash with a blah, 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 and then you don't understand them. So yes, we need to learn some technical stuff, and they need to learn the basic principles with those codes of conduct. And we have to approach each other and speak a common language, because in the end, you can ask a lot of questions, and you can ask them whether in the end you can find out what the identity relies behind an algorithm, because in the end it's not so complex, but we usually make it very complex as lawyers and them technical people. If you finally talk human, you understand, because clients are humans also, and you're going to have to explain them in human language, so it shouldn't be so complex.
No, and seeing what's coming, we will probably have to learn to talk with machines. So, you know, probably it's something that we as lawyers, we must realize that will be needed.
I'm afraid machines will talk like us.
Don't worry.
They'll learn. They're very fast learning. Aren't they?
One more question. Okay, I think that you have been talking about the big problem for lawyers, that sometimes we don't understand the machines or the techniques. Here in the Instituto de Empresa, we are designing a new program. Okay, you can imagine law with business. Okay, that's very common. But what happened with law with technique, law with development? Okay, we are planning that the lawyers are going to learn how to code. Then there's going to be easy to understand where they are working. Okay, Then, Cristina, Sara, Silvia, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.